Well, hi everyone, and welcome back to my studio. In this lesson, we're going to be using the Catalyst Wedge tool to once again really loosen up and free our floral paintings. We're going to be using acrylic paint. I've got all my paints out. They're all set here, ready to go. And I've got my flowers, which I got at Trader Joe's this morning, so I'm looking forward to painting them. And I can smell them. They smell amazing. And I hope you stay tuned. I just want to say thank you to all of you who have subscribed and all your comments and encouragement along my journey of painting with this Catalyst Wedge tool. So I hope you continue to watch the videos and enjoy them. And if you have any questions or comments, don't forget to leave them below. And I look forward to painting with you. So stick around. If you like what you see, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe and all that stuff. Anyways, let's jump into it. Just do a light wash of a few different colors to begin with. So I love using the transparent yellow iron oxide, and that's a golden color. Everything else I'm using Liquitex Basics, but for this I always like to use a little of this color because it adds sort of a glowy effect in the background. So I'm going to just block in some of that using my wedge tool here. And I did give my canvas a little spritz. But as far as any mediums, I don't have any out here. Just going to use a little water on my canvas and some of this iron oxide yellow. I figure it'll complement all the purples and everything in the background. So, and I really want this to have even more kind of an abstract feeling. So I love how the Catalyst tool just spreads that paint so fast across the canvas, and you can sort of see, you can make marks already. You can play around making marks just to warm up your artist brain. And I'm really happy that so many of you have joined me in this journey. So I'm not the only one playing like this with paint. And I'm really thankful for all your support, because I thought of this idea right, in the beginning of the year, and I thought it's kind of will be a fun thing to make it through the whole year doing, and see how loose I can get my paintings by doing, using these different tools like this. So there you go. I've got this nice sort of looking patina, sort of, it has just a warm feeling. I also am thinking ahead to think about how it will complement to have this sort of magenta color and have that warm yellow shining through. There's even some little detail in this flower that I'll show you here that has some little bits of yellow that you could even think later on it would look quite interesting for bits of the background to show through. So I'm going to just play around with a few colors. I put out a few different magentas, and I'll list all the colors below because last time I realized I didn't do that. But I'm going to start off with this one here. And I took a photo of this that I'm looking at, so I want to really kind of emphasize one or two of these flowers. I'm not going to paint every single one of them, but I am going to start off with sort of that, looking at some of the basic shape of the way the flower goes, and even some of these crinkled up petals I'll put in. And I can already see that background color shining through a bit adds to the feeling of some highlight in there already on the Gerber Daisy. And I'm just gonna take a bit of another color I've got out there that's a little darker and kind of put that in the center there. I think that's alizarin. I bought an inexpensive tube of alizarin for doing these larger videos like this where I'm using a lot of paint. And I'm gonna put in one that's kind of going off the edge here. There's sort of the side of one. And sort of another side of one here. And you can really make the shape of that petal stand out with the paint already. And you can flip it around if this side doesn't make the, I find that this right hand corner really works good. If you flip it the other way like this, you can get the shapes of the petals that way. Just make sure to load that tip up, and you can, and then if you switch it the other way to go left on the flower like that. And you can really get some cool shapes right away. And then I'm gonna get a bit of this green. I've got some of that Liquitex Basics green, and I'm going to add a little bit of burnt sienna to it. And it'll be kind of dark, but I want to get that in there. And then we'll have some stalk in there. I'm just going to mark in some, rough in some stem shapes here and there. I really just enjoy how the paint kind of glides on. I'll put some stalk branches here and there. All right, so that's just the beginning block in. Now I'm going to get kind of a white color for the stalk flower. So I'm going to add some white and some of that green and some of that transparent oxide yellow and make a kind of a warm white color. And block in some of those areas that are, and it's kind of a darker, you don't want your lightest, brightest white there yet. You want it to be sort of, you know, this kind of greeny white. Kind of add a little bit of cad yellow into there. And just sort of mixing up a batch of that white again. And some more just a few more areas where I want to see some of that stalk coming through. I'm just going to mix in a bit of white with some of that original color we blocked in with, so that we can get a little bit of a lighter kind of highlight on some of those. Got to mix that in a little bit better. And just look at my reference here. Can kind of shape this a little bit more now, these little petals. And now I'm going to go and just wipe this paint off here. It's a lot of paint. And just going to get some of that darker center color in. So I'll use a bit of this burnt sienna and some viridian just to get a darker, you can add a little alizarin to it so you get a real dark center there. Give that flower a little bit more direction. I should have kind of done, I usually do that when I'm painting sunflowers. I do that in the early stages, and it really kind of helps to know the direction of where you're going with the flower. And so, my bad, I got distracted with the with the Gerber Daisies. And you can't really see it, and I didn't paint that one facing us, but I could add a center in there and kind of bring it in a little just so it's there. And then I'm gonna go and mix up a little bit of more white to that with that iron oxide, and I'm gonna just add a few of the stock kind of marks to give them a little bit of petals, and add a little more yellow in there because they have a bit of a nice warm kind of undertone. So I'll just kind of get some of that in there. And there's such nice shapes, you know. The stalk has such a nice, more of a vertical shape versus the Gerber Daisies are more, you know, they're just kind of, they're bigger and more, they're very heavy compared to, you need something kind of delicate to balance them out. Okay, now I just want to keep going here, and I'm going to get a lighter pinky color to really add a highlight to the Gerber Daisy. So I'm going to go get some of that primary red that I got and mix it with some white and a bit of that magenta color that I've got out there. And I want to go and add a little bit of that highlight to the Gerber Daisy. And I got a lot of paint on there, so it really kind of flows in there. Blends in there really, really good. Now this flower is on top of the other flower, but it kind of got lost there. So I might put a shadow, bit of a shadow under it there so that this other flower kind of goes back behind it. Just using some of that alizarin. Now I can go back and get a highlight on there. Okay, so now I want to decide, I'm going to use a different I'm going to use this smaller catalyst wedge tool that I've got. It's a catalyst, it is, which number is it? A number 4 it's called, mini, 4 mini. And I'm going to mix up a few different colors. I've got some of this lime greeny color. I want to put some of that in. I'll mix a little bit of the sap in with that lime green color, and even mix a bit of that pink just to dull it a little, dull it down to a nice tone. And I'll put in some of the stems a little lighter and some of the leaves in. I might even add a little I'm going to mix up some cobalt blue and viridian and into that mixture that I had that I was using for the undertone. And I'm going to put in a bit of that cobalt and viridian mix just in there, just to have a nice kind of bluey green here and there to kind of counterbalance all the pink. And so I'm going to put a little bit of it in the stems. Just doodle some of that in there. Just going to start adding some of that in really abstractly, just to balance some of that pink. I really like that feeling. That blue kind of really brings out that pink, but it's not like it's kind of dull enough that it doesn't overwhelm it. And then I'm going to get some of that cad yellow, and I'm going to put in some of those kind of dots that you see in the Gerber daisies. If you don't have this little mini catalyst wedge, you can use the edge of your normal one. Let me just try it out. So you can just take the corner, and I maybe overloaded that a little there. Just kind of get a little bit on the edge. Yeah, it works even better actually. I still am surprised that I haven't, all their other tools work, but this one does everything. So you got those kind of Gerber daisy-ish shapes. And you can just go in, kind of emphasize the shadow a bit there. And use some of that alizarin to kind of go around and now add a little bit of detail to the center. So they have that kind of ring that goes around. And now I want to mix up a little bit of a lighter kind of turquoisey color for up higher in the painting. So I'm going to add a little more white to that viridian, and viridian and cobalt is kind of a go-to color if you don't have a tube of turquoise around. So you can make it's a little more natural looking, so it won't dominate the painting as much. So you can add a bit more of that in there. And here I like to cut into the pink so that it softens those edges a bit and kind of spreads it into the background a bit. You can see all those little bits of that goldy color background kind of working out still in the mix. And that adds a really nice contrast to the blue and the pink. Now you're getting a real abstract look there. Now I'll lift this off so I can reach the top of my canvas. Kind of cut into that a bit. And don't worry if you get a little bit of that pink in there. It adds to the whole feeling. So you can really see how beautiful. Areas like this are my favorite because it's really so abstract. It's even more so than this one, this flower here. Cut into this one a bit. See, I'm cutting in a bit to give them some separate shapes. And I'm really not worried about it looking perfect. Might go back and add a little bit more of a highlight to the stalk. And you can just see the amount of texture coming onto this is amazing. Just for fun, I added some of that bright, really bright green in there. And I'll finish up by adding a few of those stems going off the page. Those there. Could put a stem going off the page there. Okay, well, I feel like we accomplished some abstract looking Gerber daisies. I don't know about you, but Gerber daisies I find challenging because they're so symmetrical and you feel like you got to get them perfect. So I've never really painted them in a long time because I never really liked the results, but in this case, I feel like with all the fun stuff going on, my favorite part is this one here. That could be a painting in itself, the way that one worked out. So each painting, you're going to learn things. You're going to say, some of it I don't like, some of it I really like, and what could I do in my next painting that I can take away from the painting that you did. So for me, it would be to be even looser with my flower, more so like this, and then maybe add some details after. So I learned that I could even loosen up more, even with the Gerber daisy. So I like it. I'm going to cut in a few more a little bit more green here just to have some a little bit more variety in that one. But other than that, I think it came out better than I thought it was going to come out. At first I thought I bit off more than I can chew with these guys, but I think I actually like the way it turned out a lot with these different colors. So I'm going to type up a list of all the colors I used, but in case, this is burnt sienna, viridian, this is that light green, I'm going to put that one in, sap, cobalt, this is primary red, cadmium red, medium, and this is violet, magenta, and this is cadmium medium, and this is alizarin, and that's that transparent yellow iron oxide from golden. So that's the only fancy color I've got out here, and that's in this tube here. So I'm going to list those colors for you below. Just going to give you a close-up on all this texture and this paint so you can see. It's like Cake Boss. You could call yourself the paint cake boss. So anyhow, there you have it.